is the network service of the NTA.
Okay, the program is still morning, right? And good to know you're still here with us. We're gradually coming to the end of the show. This is basically the last lap of the program this morning, and I have my third guest with me in the studios. I told you at the beginning of the show that we shall also look at labor issues on the program today. And I have with me here Barrister Promise Asikpo. He is from the Advocacy for Legal Safeguards for Nigerian Employees Against Unfair Dismissal. Good morning, Promise. Good to see you again.
Good morning, very well. Thank you very much.
Yes. Now, let's look at it. We're talking unfair dismissal this morning. What do we mean by unfair dismissal?
Yeah, basically, dismissal is actually the setting aside of an employment of an employee when employer discharges the tenure of the employment of an employee of a worker. So when it's unfair is when it is not in line with the law or with the contract of the employment that is entered between the employer and the employee.
Now, what does the law say about this?
There are laws regulating employment in Nigeria. First of all, the ground law, which is the Constitution. For instance, the Section 17(3) of the 1999 Constitution has altered, has enjoined the states to make policy to ensure that conditions of work are just and humane. So every other law, subsidiary laws in the country are in line with that fundamental principle. So the law is that when an employment of a worker is to be terminated, it must be in accordance with the contract of employment. If it's a contract with statutory flavor, for example, the public service, a public servant, it must be in consonance with the act that created that public service or the job. So those are the fundamental grounds.
Okay. Now, when an employee feels he's been unfairly dismissed, from the employment of the services of his employee, what are the steps to take?
Yes, going by for instance, there are some companies, some contracts of employment can have some procedure for redress, internal procedures. If the employer takes an action that the employee feels is unfair and having a legal right, first of all, you might need to report to a particular body in the particular organization to seek redress and maybe get reinstated if proper investigation has been done. The way that is not done, it can eventually get to seek redress in courts. Directly in court. And you have the National Industrial Court that has the constitutional jurisdiction to administer justice to employment disputes.
Now, when we talk about seeking redress in court, you and I know, for someone whose appointment has been terminated, where is the money to pay for legal services? Are there no private organizations in place like yours? Maybe if such workers can get free legal services or something?
Yeah, there's you have some lawyers that offer free legal services. You have some human rights advocates. You have some organizations like Center for Labor Justice. Like many of them, even us, we also offer some services where there are very clear cases of fundamental breach in the employment rights like that. We can step in. Very strongly, the Supreme Court has given a very well-celebrated decision in the case of Professor Olaniyan and University of Lagos. Yeah, that if even reinstatement can be possible, where the public service rules were not complied with at the point of termination of employment.
Now, that has, that's going as far as the Supreme Court. We are just looking at our own levels here. But let's take a look at, the labor industry in Nigeria and the relationship between employees and their employers. In your own summation, especially taking a look at, Nigeria coming this far, celebrating our 53rd independence, do you think we're there yet in terms of a conducive environment, between employees and employers?
Yeah, to a reasonable extent, I think we are not there.
Why do you say this?
Yes, considering there are a lot of reports, if you conduct a research, like a report that was submitted by the African Journal of economics. They made a report about employment, dismissals of employment, and the general laws in Nigeria, the standards of the standards regulating employment and dismissals in Nigeria. And based on that submission, that was done just last year, the recent submission, they said that Nigeria is not, if the laws are not effective, it's about 5.4, scored Nigeria as about 5.48 in terms of the scale of 10. So the one angle that would even proffer solution, it will be for a regulatory system. Okay, maybe by the Ministry of Labor and Productivity. Good, the employer has a right to dismiss if it's in accordance with the law. Okay. Now, where there is dismissal, I think it will be reasonable for the company to make reports to the Ministry of Labor and Productivity. Okay, so that the Ministry of Labor and Productivity will get at a particular time, they will review these reports. So where a particular company has flagrantly abused the right of the employees, then there could be checks and redress straight from the Ministry of Labor and Productivity. On the other hand, we also have organizations like the Nigerian Labour Congress, trade unions that you have a collective bargaining power and represent the employees. But the challenge is that they have a vocal strength in terms of media advocacy and others, but the laws regulating the rights of the employees are not really effective. So when you get to court to seek redress, there may be some loopholes that may not give them the proper redress that we seek. But it's very hopeful. There are some effort at the moment. We are really impressed with the fact that the National Industrial Court has a large jurisdiction, and they can even import international conventions, rules on unfair labor practice. So that is a good development. But we are pushing for a situation where the laws, the existing laws in Nigeria, like the Labour Act and other relevant laws, will be reviewed.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much, Promise Asikpo. We have been discussing the issue of, labor activities, and with specific reference to unfair dismissal. So this morning, as we leave this discourse, Promise, because I know that you're an advocate, for really ensuring that there is a safe and conducive environment, work environment, for employees, for employers, and even employees as well. Give us one message to our employers especially, and also to the employees, because when we talk about dismissal, something must be wrong somewhere for dismissal to come up.
Yes, just as the chief editor of Nigerian Labour Law Report in Obawente has been stating, that the employment sector that should be viewed as all the stakeholders should be, the employer and the employee should be viewed as stakeholders. Okay, the employer has a vested right because he owns the business. Yes. The employee also has a vested right because he is the one that services the business. So if they look at themselves as an interest as partners in progress, then we can have a very effective result, and Nigeria will be a better place. Okay,
fantastic. So basically, we should all look at ourselves as partners, in ensuring that we have a great country. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, yes, that's it this morning. That sums it up. Talking about employee-employer relationship, unfair dismissal, taking a look at ourselves as partners in this business. And it's just not about businesses, it's about the larger entity called Nigeria. We all are partners, and we must contribute our own quota to ensuring that this country remains great. All right, please join us again same time next week for another interesting package, another beautiful ride, talking about the program Morning Ride. Till then, we urge you to have a fantastic week ahead of you. Bye-bye.
ìjà tó wà láàrin wa àti Bímpé ó ti pẹ́ jù gbogbo yẹn dẹ̀ ń bẹ̀ yín tábà belé ó máa ní kò sí jà tábà bí wọn náà máa ní kò sí jà jọ torí Ọlọ́run mo fẹ́ kíjà yìí parí láàrin ẹ̀yin méjèèjì.
èmi ò bá Bímpé jà rárá mi ò bá jà.
wọ́n ti mọ̀ pé nǹkan tó máa sọ nìyẹn tábà bí Bímpé náà the same thing ló máa sọ but jọ torí Ọlọ́run ọjọ́ tí n bá láǹfààní àti bẹ́yìn méjèèjì parí ẹ̀ tí n bá ṣe parí ẹ̀ jọ jẹ́ kó tán lọ́kàn ẹ̀. ìjà ò dáná o ìjà adé máa sọ pé nǹkan Bímpé ewa náà ṣé kò sí o tó ń bínú ni mo dá wa. o ò rí báyọ̀ lé ni ó dáa báyìí ẹ wò ó ìjà tó wà láàrin ẹ̀yin méjèèjì kò dáa náà